Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located. I am Gabriela Castro with Trade in Motion, and we help companies to find the right talent for their operations. As you know, we have this marvelous podcast, People First, the heart of business. Because as I said all the time, what is the most important asset worldwide? People. We are people. So today we have two guests, one from Canada, one from the US, and of course, I am from Mexico. One of our guests is Eva Nafekh. She is the Chief Possibility Officer of Transition to Performance. Eva partners with leaders and teams to build organizations where people want to show up, contribute, and thrive. As an expert in organizational, Eva is a solution-focused coach. Her work is grounded in dialogue that focuses on outcomes, the right conversations, clear, honest, intentional, create clarity, alignment, and momentum. I will leave Eva to introduce herself and share with us all her experience regarding people. Thank you, Eva, for accepting to be part of this podcast.
Gabriela, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really excited to be here. And what a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. I don't know what else there is to say about this. But I loved what you brought in terms of, how we each come in with different backgrounds, from different locations. Yes, I am from Canada. The snow has finally melted here, which is very exciting. Um, but again, it's about where we connect really it is people first. It is about those human connections. And I have the opportunity to work with leaders, executives, and different types of organizations as well to build and connect those dots in terms of creating those spaces for better dialogue, for meaningful conversations, so that we can also have more human workplaces. So I'm really excited about the conversation we're going to have here today.
Thank you, Eva. Our next guest is Michael Smith. Michael Smith is the owner of GPS. He's a geologist from Arizona, qualified person, and a registered geologist with more than 40 years of experience in the Americas. Thank you, Michael, for being part of our episode number 4. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Michael Smith. I'm a geologist, as Gabriela mentioned. I've worked internationally in much of South America and Mexico. And so I've had experience with a lot of different kinds of people, Colombians, Peruvians, Canadians, Americans, Mexicans. And one of the things that you really have to focus on to be successful in a career moving forward with project development, and this is project development I'm describing that's related to, in the end, hopefully building a mine. And so you have different pools of talent that are out there. We've recently brought in 7 geologists that I trained in Mexico. We've really focused on expertise and what they do. They all have various roles that they're more knowledgeable about, and some have less knowledge in other areas, which are equally important to what they do. And so one of the things we really focus on here is cross-training and economic geology, and that is the importance of how the data that they acquire is utilized. Because in the end, the data that the geologists acquire is related to providing enumerated information to engineers who evaluate and diagnose and derive the profitability of a potential mine. So one of the things we focus on a lot here in order to achieve that is cross-training and making sure that people are invited to offer their opinion. We very frequently have meetings where we discuss what it is we're looking at and we try to understand what the interpretation that's acceptable to everybody might be in terms of what a particular rock represents. And a lot of that requires discussion and listening to different ideas. But in the end, you want to have a unified theory, if you will, about how we collect the data and record the data for utilization in economic geology.
Very good. Thank you, Michael, for sharing your expertise. It's very important that you say that I heard the word cross training. And it's so important for people to have different expertise, not only the one that they already have, but that way can make them get a better job, to learn something different, to grow. And at the end, it's good for the company and it's good for the individual. And Eva, what is your experience regarding this, what Michael explained, cross-training, helping people to grow?
I love how Michael described in terms of what he's doing, and it seems very natural. It doesn't seem forced either, and from a leadership perspective, I find that kind very admirable. And it's also, so if I look at it from a leadership perspective, leaders that do really well is because their teams are also doing really well and they're creating those opportunities for them. Um, that's what I've seen, what those great leaders look like in terms of giving those opportunities based on what the individuals also have interests on. And because we also have different types of strengths, don't we? There are certain things that come easier to us where we're really great and it gives us the possibility to shine. So it sounds like Michael is creating those opportunities quite nicely, as well as from a business continuity too. It's good for the person, the employee, but it's also good for the business, isn't it? The more that an employee can see the full um, cycle and how their roles contribute to the bigger business, that's definitely something that's very commendable, Michael. So thank you. And that's definitely what I've seen as well in my experience.
Yeah, and also, if as you say, uh, leadership is very important. Be a leader is not only the title; it has many, many different layers of how to be a good leader. Can you, Eva and Michael, explain us on what do you think, what makes a good leader?
I think that's something that's very important to do with all the people on a project, and that goes from the technicians through the geologists. They're all different. They all have different experience. Is to give them challenges of the opportunity to be a leader, and that is if you give somebody the opportunity to be a leader, it empowers them. If you empower them, then you're empowering the company and doing what's best for the company, let alone their future. They need to understand the importance of everything that everybody does because we don't do things that are a waste of time. Every element of the things we do are integrated together in the end. And so we make sure we do a lot of work on focusing on how the data that we acquire is utilized for engineering practice.
Mhm. And also what you mentioned, Michael, in terms of giving the opportunities to different people, because and Gabrielle, you said it's not a title. It isn't, because we all can be leaders depending on the
Yeah.
different situations. And there are some, in some circumstances, that there are leaders that will, shine on, a certain area. Um, but again, to really know what a leader, if you are a leader, I keep on saying, look behind you. Is there anyone following you? Do people listen to you? Do they embrace what you're saying? Asking questions still. Um, that's how you know it's not the title. And what's key, I find, in terms of my experience, what I've seen, the really great leaders as well enable others to be able to shine. It's about removing those barriers, right? It's about giving them the possibility to try something new, to support them, to be what some people will call it servant leadership, which is be in service of the team, the people. Because when you're in service of, together, then you end up having people who are more connected, who, bring their best selves as well, which is really important in today's workplaces to be able to deal with all the different types of challenges and changes. It's not only challenges, there's a lot of change. It's always happened, but now it's even more. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that will continue, right? To happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, Eva. Go ahead, Michael.
and I think that one of the tools that I've implemented quite a bit, which I've found to be very helpful, is to give everybody that's working there directional challenges. That is a challenge, the outcome of which is expected that they grow, that they contribute to the company. So somebody may be in their comfort zone doing a thing, but I very often challenge them to add something else to what they're doing in order to get them to grow in a particular direction. It might be achieving a particular goal, but I'm always trying to give challenges to each individual that would be directed at their ability to solve problems. Problem solving is an issue. I often give them problems, challenges to solve. Because I know they're going to run into the problem in the future. So, what if I'm not around? I want them to be prepared to provide their leadership and in giving them the challenge that's directed at their growth and the growth of the company is a very useful tool to use at times.
So I'm curious about that. How do you how do you bring on that type of conversation? Because I'm going to make the assumption, Michael, that you haven't always had people who said, "Oh, yay, bring this on. I'm so excited. Yes, give me another problem to solve." What's your approach? What created success for you?
Well, I've been in the business a long time. And quite often, I will give them challenges to solve a problem that because I spend time with them and I know what they're doing, they haven't thought about. And so I give them problems that I already know the answer to, not perhaps in every technical detail, but give them problems that I know they're going to encounter in the future. And if they learn how to solve those problems, each individual person, then that is beneficial to the company. It's beneficial to them. And it precludes with advanced planning that the company gets caught short if I'm not around, or if one of the other geologists is not around that tends to specialize in one thing, the other geologists have been trained in that thing so they can continue on. So creating those challenges for them that you know is better for them and better for the company in the future. You know they're eventually going to run into that challenge. Give them the challenge in advance and get them thinking.
Mm.
Well, thank you.
Great, Michael. And I want to know, Michael, what brought you to choose 7 geologists from Mexico and bring them to the United States to work? What was the criteria? Why you said, okay, I bring these 7 geologists because what? Because they had the expertise, because they are hard workers. Can you please explain?
Those two factors are the primary issues, and that is, do they have a good work ethic? And one of the things I look at in terms of work ethic is when they're working, are they happy to be there? If they seem burdened by it and they're not having fun doing it, then that does not bode well for a very motivated person to come. The other one is more technical in nature, and that is, do they actually know what it is they're doing? So when I looked at these people, I was very consciously evaluating how much training am I going to need to give them? And because I already trained them, I know their areas of expertise and I also know their shortcomings. One of the shortcomings in most of them that I ran into is their understanding of economic geology. What is all this being done for? Because in a mining project, economics are critical. But in the end, that's what we're trying to understand is the potential economic viability of a project. And so getting people who may not be trained in that, I knew that that was training I was going to have to do. And I'm happy to do it. And all of them are very open to learning about that. How is the data utilized? What's it useful for? What can be done with that data? And so the idea is to train them on understanding the utilization of the information that they provide. I knew that they knew how to gather the information. In fact, they're good at it and they teach me things. And which is a great thing that I look for. I'd like to bring in people that teach me things that I don't know. And so this group is very open to learning. They've got a fantastic work ethic. They're happy to be there. They see that it advances their professional future. And so, having a team of people like that that have a great work ethic and have a knowledge base to move forward, later augmented by a clear understanding of economic geology and how information is utilized, is a critical factor in selecting people and individuals to come and work.
Oh, now I've got a burning question for Gabriella. Because there's one thing in terms of building that team, that diverse team, but how do you find the talent, right, that will also be able to complement the local teams?
Thank you, Eva. Very, very interesting question. What I do is first, of course, I have to see the job description. I have to get in touch with the people from the company, human resources, operations managers, to understand exactly what their needs are. And from all the qualifications that they are looking for, which are the most important ones. From there, I find the right person. I personally interview them because I want to know first their level of English and how they work, how they comport. Michael said, do you like what you do? Are you passionate of something? Because it's very important. If people is not passionate about what they are doing and they are bored, they will not perform well. So that's what I personally interview them, all the candidates, and my team interview the candidates in the technical side. So that's the way we find the right talent. And also, something very important to mention is that we don't displace local talent. We add, so for the positions that we don't find in the US and Canada, we don't find the talent, we add those positions, those people to support the team, and we build teams. And it's amazing how teams can work from different citizenships, from different way of working with different, all is bringing different perspective from a work point of view, and that enriches the company and the job they will be doing. That's what we do, and it's a passion for me. That's what I have this podcast. People first, for me, is really a passion and a pleasure to work with people.
Your passion is so palpable. I mean, it's ça rayonne. Again, I'm looking. I've got the opportunity to speak several languages, which is fantastic. I search for my words in both, but your passion is it's very contagious, and I can understand why you're doing what you do as well. But like you said, it's really hard to find talent. Um, And that must be, I know in the Canadian marketplace, it is a challenge in terms of, especially when I can only imagine for a very specialized and highly technical type of roles as well. Um, so could you tell me a little bit more in terms of like not only finding the talent, but also, that whole process, that journey to bring them into the team?
Sure. First, our process is not complicated. As you know, in order to bring professionals or skilled technicians, is a visa related to the treaty between Mexico, the US, and Canada. That helps a lot because it's not complicated to bring them if they have the qualifications and the diplomas and degrees that they need.
Mm.
So the first step is to talk to as I mentioned, to talk to the company, human resources and operations teams to understand what their needs are. When I understand well the needs of the company, I find the right talent with my partners and my team in Mexico. We find the right talent. I interview them. My team interviews them for the technical expertise. And after the company, they arrange an appointment with the company, and the company can interview the candidate after sending the resume. If the company likes the candidate, they give an offer letter to the candidate, and when the candidate accepts the offer letter, the trade in motion begins to do all the visa process. We have the right attorneys, they help with all the visa process, and the company doesn't need to be involved. So we go through all the visa process until the candidate arrives to the place where he or she will be working. That's the process. It's not complicated. And something else that we offer is the onboarding program. That means that we help the company and the candidate to establish in the country. We know what each candidate needs: the bank account, to open a bank account, to pass the driver's license exam, to have a social security number, all what they need to do. We know what their needs are, and we help them to go through all this process. And that helps the company to not to be involved 100% and continue producing, continue working, and only adding the talent that they need.
So it's like a two, because there's there's onboarding from a cultural, from a new country, all the documentation, the paperwork, and all those steps. And then there's onboarding within the team that also happens. And I'm going to imagine that Michael also gets very much involved in that whole that other type of onboarding once the talent is found, the paperwork is done, that they're in the country. So, how does it work between you and, um, like, for example, Michael, in terms of that onboarding and that transition? How does that work?
But first, I help with all the, as I mentioned, the social security number, driver's license test, and to have a bank account. And after Michael, as he has been working in all the Americas, he knows the culture. So he works, as he is the one working in this case together with the seven geologists, he begins to help them to get into and understand the culture, because I am an immigrant too, and it's very different. The, the cultures, every culture is different. So you have to adapt when you arrive to the new culture in many, many, many aspects. And Michael, maybe you can give some examples of the people you have been working with.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed is from a cultural point of view, the geologist coming here, or for that matter, me going into another country, is cultural adaptation. And one of the things that I realized a long time ago is the tendency of people from Latin America to talk implicitly instead of explicitly. And so
Mm.
I talk to people explicitly. And quite often, in my experience, people that I've worked with in Latin America, because I talk explicitly, not implicitly, is that they think I'm angry. So part of it is a cultural adaptation that they understand that my direct talk, like a typical gringo, is that I talk very explicitly. I get right to the point. I don't dance around the fire. I put the fire out and talk very directly about how to achieve things. And so they get used to that after a while. And I encourage them to talk explicitly, to give me hard factual information, to give me very clear voice of opinion so that there's no misunderstanding, to get that more direct level of communication that's explicit.
That must
Interesting,
be quite
Michael.
a, yeah, that must be quite a challenge, though,
Yeah.
Michael.
Oh, it's fun.
It's
because
oh,
I
it's fun. I love it.
yeah,
Okay.
because I'm always joking about it. I don't get mad. Sometimes getting mad is a useful tool, but it's very, very rare that it's necessary, and it's very rare that I do it. It's more about having fun with the problem in front of us rather than being all preoccupied about it or embarrassed about it or frustrated about it. It's how to challenge people with a better way of handling what might be otherwise an insurmountable situation.
How do you, okay, now I've got a burning question again. This is really fascinating. How do you like weave it all in? Because this is you're sharing your approach. I'm just wondering when you've got those diverse teams where you've got people coming from Mexico, you've got as well people from the United States. How do you weave that all in together? How do you weave that team together?
Well, it's basically largely boils down to the people learning how to accept challenge, that it's not a burden. It's something that you can have fun with. You can move forward with it. Part of it is learning the cultural aspects of things. Part of it is accommodating individuals' characteristics, because some people have a greater difficulty with a particular kind of situation than others. But one of the things to make sure that they understand is that they don't need to feel embarrassed if they didn't get something right. It's a
Mm,
learning experience, and we all share in the learning. I share in the learning. I learn something new every day. And I challenge them and encourage them to deal with it in a way that's rational. Don't get all your emotions wrapped up into something where you can't function logically. You need to be able to communicate exactly what's going on in terms of how you see it. And understand that other people may not see it that way, but you have to encourage that diversity between people and between individuals. The
mm,
diversity between individuals is an important consideration, because everybody has things that they're more skillful at and less skillful at. Like, for instance, don't hire me to be your accountant. I can do it, but I don't like it.
okay, it's noted. Gabriella, no accounting position for Michael.
For
You know,
Michael. That's true. Yeah, but this is a fascinating conversation, of course, about people. Thank you very much. I think that we will wrap up our 30-minute podcast number 4, People First, the Heart of Business. Please give me some words before wrapping up, before finishing this episode. Eva?
I had fun in this conversation. Um, I loved how you again this three-way conversation in terms of finding the right people, how do we bring people together? You know, Michael, how you lead. It's not about what you say as well, it's what you do. I love how you describe what you do. I think that's really, it's beautiful. So thank you again for the possibility to be in this conversation with both of you.
Thank you, Eva. Michael?
Thank you, Eva. It was a joy to meet with you. It was a joy to have a discussion about our different perspectives on how things are accomplished with the
Being part of our podcast, and we love people. People first, the heart of business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.